welcome back to another edition of Research Fantasy Presents our MLB DFS pitcher picks for Monday, June 5th, 2017. I'm your host, Nick from CWE, and I'm going to break down three of my favorite pitchers for tournament play tonight. All things considered, this is a pretty bad slate of games for pitching. We have a couple of guys that are close to marquee names or at least above average pitchers, but the problem we have is that the matchups aren't great. So it's going to be tough to determine what's going to be the proper strategy. Right now, I am leaning towards going with some of the guys in the middle, but nonetheless, let's start things off tonight with Sean Manaea of the Oakland Athletics at 7,700 on FanDuel. Minea is a young pitcher, had some starts last year, has been in the big leagues for the most part this year. I believe he had an injury that kept him out for maybe a couple of weeks, but since then he's posted decent numbers. His last two outings have been especially good against New York and Cleveland, which Cleveland is notable, but takes on a Toronto Blue Jays team tonight with some guys that have been known to be lefty killers throughout their career. Statistically, this actually sets up pretty nicely for Minea. On the year, Toronto has a below average WOBA, ISO, and hard hit percent against lefties. The strikeouts are right around the 22% area. I haven't checked recently what they've done, but I'm assuming since Donaldson and Tulowitzki have come back that those numbers have probably regressed towards the mean of being a little more difficult for lefties. I don't hate Minea today because I do think he is a above average talent. And with the pitching set up the way it is, you're going to have to take some risks. I'd rather take a risk with someone who's at least been pitching reasonably well. I'll go with Minea in a lot of lineups tonight. Let's move over to the other side of the game to J.A. Happ of the Toronto Blue Jays. 8,400 on FanDuel. The appeal with Happ here is that he does have pretty good strikeout stuff, and this Athletics team is striking out around 26% of the time against left-handed pitching. He's coming off an injury that sidelined him for pretty much the entire year. He had 2.5 starts prior to his last game. I think that this is an Athletics team, especially in a big ballpark like Oakland, that can be shut down, and it wouldn't shock me if this is one of the lower scoring games of the night, but unfortunately it also wouldn't shock me if it was one of the higher scoring games of the night. So a lot of inconsistency with how the game flow could go here, but that pretty much describes every game on this slate. I think I'll take a risk with Happ. He's priced below Minea on DraftKings, I believe, and I think he's a worthwhile. I think running that strategy is something that worked out well for me on Friday night with playing a lot of Kershaw, Jimmy Nelson stacks. And I think the best way to look at it is there's no way that they're going to reach that upside. Both Kershaw and Nelson came pretty close to 40 fantasy points. I don't see Happ could flirt with double-digit strikeouts, but again, if they put up 25 each, that could be the high end of what pitchers see on DraftKings tonight. So I don't hate the strategy of just isolating that game for pitching. At the top of things, we've got four guys that we could look at tonight. I mean, basically, here's the issue. I don't trust Dan Straley as being an actual solid pitcher. He has 2 double-digit strikeout outings, one against Philadelphia, one against San Diego. Those are 2 of the worst teams in baseball against right-handed pitching, so there's no shock there. He gets a Cubs team in Chicago, and especially on DraftKings, there's no way I'm buying him as the second highest priced pitcher on the mound tonight. No way. Gio Gonzalez, I'm definitely willing to take some shots with him because, again, I think you can get some strikeout upside, but you can also get blown up. But the Dodgers do struggle a little more with left-handed pitching because it neutralizes some of their bigger threats. It doesn't take a guy like Corey Seager or Cody Bellinger out of the game, but it reduces their overall ability to do well. You're instead relying on the Chris Taylor, Franklin Gutierrez, Kiki Hernandez side of things, but he's going to have to be a tournament option. Jeff Samardzija, aside from his last outing, was starting to pitch very well. He does have good strikeout stuff. He's going up against a Brewers team that's absolutely boom or bust. We've seen that all weekend. I don't mind him, but I like how Carlos Martinez has been pitching. Really just one bad game this year, and unfortunately it was against the team that they're playing against tonight, the Cincinnati Reds. Furthermore, the damaging part of all this is it wasn't even in Cincinnati. It was at his home stadium. With this game switching to Cincinnati, it can only get worse. We know that the Reds are not a bad offense whatsoever. Even if a guy like Mike Foltynewicz, I forget how to pronounce his name, Foltynewicz I call him. I've heard it pronounced a couple of different ways. But Carlos Martinez, you're dealing with a guy who's going to flirt with double-digit strikeouts, probably not get there. But this Reds team, one that can be shut down, one that can put 6 or 7 runs up on a pitcher. I don't love the matchup tonight, but this is one of those classic tournament night situations where I would not feel very comfortable playing in cash games. I would put all of my action into tournament play. That's what I'll do. Our top 3 pitchers on the night for tournament: Sean Manaea, J.A. Happ, Carlos Martinez. Good luck to you tonight. I have a feeling it's going to continue the trend of the weekend and be a crazy one. If you liked our video, make sure to like it. Subscribe to our YouTube channel below. Head over to researchfantasy.com to see what we've got going on there. Like us on Facebook or Research Fantasy. Follow us on Twitter at Research and Win, and join us again tomorrow.